Fire seemingly roared to life out of nowhere. It forced people to be told to leave their homes and get out of town as quickly as possible. Firefighters up on the hill also seemingly caught out by the speed of this fire. These pictures show fire crews desperately trying to get out of harm's way, make their way to safety. And look at the size of the flames on the top of this hill here. And what this emergency does show as the firefighters continue to battle it is this emergency is far from over yet. The firefighters' efforts have been helped by a giant layer of fire retardant that has been set upon that hill earlier today, effectively slowing the speed of that fire in these hills behind me. Firefighters have also been aided by a lack of wind. We were told it'd be 80-90 kilometres an hour today. Right now, it is very, very still indeed. So that fire's starting to slow now. But as I said, this shows that the people of Los Angeles are far from being out of the woods yet. Stephanie?
It sure does. OK, thanks for the latest there, Jono.
Police were called to this parkland off Haynes Drive after neighbours heard screams around 11:30 last night. It's understood one group was gathered near the recreation centre for several hours before a rival group armed with machetes turned up in 3 separate white cars and ambushed the men. A brawl broke out and a 24-year-old local man was stabbed to death. 2 others, both aged 27, were also injured and taken to hospital with minor injuries. A further 4 men, part of the victims' group, were taken into custody for questioning.
There's no doubt whoever was wielding the blows has had some clear intent to cause serious damage.
The second gang fled the scene and police are still on the hunt for those responsible for the fatal stabbing.
We have no motive at this stage, but certainly it was ferocious.
Detectives from the homicide squad are appealing to the public. If they do know the identities of the men involved, they're urged to come forward.
Donald Trump has been sentenced for his hush money conviction just a little over a week before he will be inaugurated as the President of the United States. US correspondent Reid Butler is in New York.
This is significant because it formalises Donald Trump's status as a convicted felon just days before he returns to the White House. And he was desperately trying to not return to this New York City courthouse for this sentencing. He tried pretty much every trick in the book, including going to the Conservative majority Supreme Court for them to try and quash the case. The fact that none of those avenues work could be seen as a big fail for Donald Trump. But on the other hand, he has avoided punishment altogether for his hush money conviction. He was found guilty of falsifying business records over payments to the porn star Stormy Daniels. It's a conviction that would normally carry with it jail time. So why the leniency here in New York today? Well, to put it simply, it's because Donald Trump is about to become president. The judge in New York, Juan Merchan, saying that the office of the presidency protects Donald Trump from the gravity of this verdict. The president-elect, though, he still is not happy. He says he wants to appeal the conviction, and he actually appeared in court via video link webcam today. We have some audio of what he told the courtroom.
This has been a very terrible experience. I think it's been a tremendous setback for New York and the New York court system.
Prison time or not, though, it is official now. Donald Trump will be going back to the White House, this time as a sentenced felon.
Sydney's Jewish community is reeling from 3 more cases of anti-Semitic vandalism a day after a synagogue was targeted. Bianca Balza has the details.
It was a confronting sight for the congregation here at Newtown Synagogue to arrive to as they came for their Saturday Sabbath service this morning. 10 red swastikas spray painted on the front of their place of worship. Now, one by one, they're being cleaned, they're being taken off. Police were here earlier gathering evidence themselves as well, trying to work out exactly who is responsible. I've also talked to members of this synagogue. They aren't speaking on camera today as they observe their day of rest, but they do tell me they are saddened and they're in shock. We also spoke to some local passers-by. They're Jewish and they thought it was important to witness this vandalism and pay their respects.
This is nothing that we haven't seen before, and it's also nothing that we haven't survived before. but it's very different when it's right outside your house.
Unfortunately, this isn't the extent of the anti-Semitic vandalism Sydney woke to this morning. A home in Queen's Park also spray-painted and offensive slurs written on a poster in Marrickville, not far from here. It comes a day after another attack in Allawah in Sydney South bearing similar hallmarks. Hate symbols and anti-Semitic slurs graffitied on a synagogue using red paint.
This isn't just vandalism, this is a sustained campaign of intimidation, harassment and menacing of the community, which has taken place over the past 15 to 16 months.
Police and politicians yesterday promised action, but with 3 of these attacks in one night, the question is, are things happening fast enough? More on 9 News tonight at 6 o'clock.
A Queensland police officer is recovering in hospital after being shot with his own gun during a routine job in Brisbane South. As Abby Gearan explains, a first-year constable provided life-saving first aid to his colleague.
Well, the brave police officer who was shot in the leg during this dramatic scuffle yesterday has undergone surgery here at the Princess Alexandra Hospital to remove the bullet. That procedure revealing just how close Acting Sergeant Liam Bailey came to death. It was lodged 1 millimetre from his femoral artery. We're told he's in good spirits following the frightening ordeal at Annerley on Brisbane's south side yesterday, thanks to the quick thinking of first-year constable Boyd Harrington Karatiana, who saved his life. The pair were responding to reports a man who left the nearby hospital emergency department had trespassed into the backyard of a home where he was acting aggressively. When they arrived, the 26-year-old had armed himself with a piece of timber and was threatening the officers, lunging for Acting Sergeant Bailey's firearm and discharging it at the 40-year-old's leg. The rookie cop fired 2 shots back at the offender's stomach and provided his partner with a personally purchased tourniquet to stem the bleeding. Today, the police union is calling for tourniquets and tactical first aid kits to be distributed to every frontline officer in the force. Currently, they're issued to stations and usually kept in officers' cars. But here, there wasn't time to return to the vehicle to get one, and the fact the constable was carrying the compact equipment in his uniform proved critical.
These are about $90 for the pair of them, about $1 million investment. But what I say to that is that a life was saved yesterday using one of these, and we say that a police officer's life is priceless and we need to invest in this kind of equipment now so our officers have the very best equipment available in the event they're involved in an incident like yesterday.
The man who shot Acting Sergeant Bailey also remains in hospital this afternoon. He is in a critical condition.
Heavy rain and powerful thunderstorms have hammered parts of Queensland, leading to widespread flash flooding and road closures. Some areas